Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I have some age gap romance recs for you, so let's just get right into them. So I wanted to kind of start this new, series on my channel where I do taboo romance book recommendations, but very specific tropes. I don't want to just make a general taboo video. I want teacher student, I want age gap, I want all of the different things sort of in their own videos. So I'll probably make a playlist for that if you want to watch all of them. This is obviously the first one, so we'll be going from here with different tropes that I have in mind, which I'm really excited about. So of course this is the first video. This is the age gap recommendations, which I'm really excited about. This is a trope that I did not think I was gonna like when I first started reading, but honestly it doesn't bother me at all. I thought I would be like, oh, this is so weird, but it's just not. So the first book on today's list is Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. I feel like this is the first age gap book that everybody reads. This is the one that makes people go, okay, I can read this. This one follows a girl who ends up moving in with her boyfriend's dad, and her boyfriend moves in as well. And they move into his house to sort of save money. And she has already met the boyfriend's dad, but outside of the context of him being her boyfriend's dad, she literally just bumps into him at a movie theater and they get to talking one day. And so she already knows him and she already kind of had this connection with him. And then she moves into this house and realizes that it's her boyfriend's dad, and she's like, oh my god, that's kind of crazy. And her boyfriend in this, I feel like this book sounds weird because you're like, oh, her poor boyfriend, but her boyfriend in this kind of sucks. You're not rooting for them to get together. You're like, no, you should leave him for his dad. You'd be way better off. And this one is just really, really good. Definitely a good age gap book. Like I said, it's a really good one if you've never read an age gap book before and you're looking to get into them, because I feel like it really eases you in with even how you hate her boyfriend and you want him with this guy. It definitely makes you want them together and root for them, and so it's a really good one to start with. Next is Making Up by Helena Hunting. This one I believe has a 10-year age gap between the two characters. It follows a guy who, it's part of a series, but you could read it alone. The series follows these brothers who are all hotel heirs, they're gonna inherit basically the equivalent of the Hilton basically. And so this guy is super rich, he's running these hotels and whatever, and he meets this girl and instantly is no, I am drawn to her kind of thing. And she starts hanging out with him obviously, and she is a hospitality student and she doesn't know who he is. She doesn't know that he is this heir to this hotel chain, and she is busy in school all the time learning about hotels and things. And of course one day she finally finds out, and there's sort of this big thing that goes down, sort of goes from there. Their relationship sort of has its issues, and this one was just really, really interesting. I thought it was definitely sort of a unique sort of take on the trope, because it wasn't a sort of forced thing, I guess. Not that they're normally forced, but it was very casual in their meeting. They just met and were like, oh yeah, you're cool. It wasn't they went out of their way to find someone with an age gap, I guess you could say. And so I thought that was kind of interesting. Like I said, it is part of a series, but you can read it alone. The first one in the series is called Shacking Up, if you want to look up that one. Also really good. Next is another Penelope Douglas book. This one is Misconduct by Penelope Douglas. This is one of her earlier books, I think. It follows a woman who ends up dating, she's a teacher, she ends up dating one of her students' dads. And she's a high school teacher, so this kid definitely knows what's going on, and the kid is kind of a jerk to her. But this one sort of follows, this is another one where she meets him sort of outside of the context before she finds out he's a parent of one of her students. And so she meets him at this other event, totally separate, and thinks she's never going to see him again, and ends up running into him again, and things go from there. This is another, like I said, age gap when she's really young, and he obviously is old enough to have a high school student, so there's definitely an age gap there. I want to say it's maybe 10 to 15 years in this one, but definitely it's got the taboo of that and the fact that she's his son's teacher. So it's definitely got both elements with this one. Kind of like Birthday Girl, how it's got the age gap and the fact that he's her boyfriend's dad. Next is Sweet Dandelion by Macaulay Smeltzer. This one is about a girl who survives a school shooting at her old school that kills her mother, because her mother was a teacher at the school or something. And she is now a year behind in high school. She moves in with her brother to kind of just get back on her feet. and she ends up at this high school. She's older than all the students because she's like missed a year because of everything that's happened, and the school decides that she needs to sort of see a guidance counselor every day to help her, like, you know, get back to herself kind of thing. And this guidance counselor they assign her to is this guy that she starts becoming attracted to, and things sort of go from there. He's obviously her guidance counselor. He also lives very close to her, so there's sort of like that where she can just like easily run over to his place kind of thing. And so there's that whole storyline. Definite age gap, definite like taboo, forbidden thing, like teacher-student going on in this one as well. And just like a really good, like I said, age gap for sure book. Next is Don't Kiss the Bride by Carrie and Cole. This one I really like because I think it's one of the more unique age gap books. This one follows a guy who's a construction worker. He's working on this house across the street from high school, and there's this girl there that sort of catches his eye because her car's not working, and like just like different things keep catching his eye that she's doing across the street in this parking lot. And he ends up talking to her and finds out that she needs this medication and she can't get it because she can't afford it. And he's like, well, this is stupid because like I have a health plan like with my job to get like these prescriptions and whatever, or like to see a doctor and different things. And so he comes up with this idea of like, hey, what if we got married on paper so that you could like use my health plan basically. And she decides she doesn't really have another option, so she goes through with it. They get married, and he's like, you can move in with me, you can stay in like the guest room, like it's fine, I have an extra room, like obviously we're not gonna get together because he's like in his 30s and she is 18, and obviously that's not how things go throughout the book, but they obviously do start forming a relationship, living together and seeing each other all the time. And this one, like I said, I liked that this was such a unique sort of twist on it, like that they got married like right off the bat, even with their age gap, and sort of had to deal with that as well. I thought that was really interesting, and definitely, like I said, a more unique take on the age gap book. Next is Hush Hush by Lucia Franco. This one is crazy in like the best possible way. It is about a girl who is low on money, so she ends up taking a job as like a very, very high-end escort basically, and she gets paid like a ton of money, and it's all like the like top like CEOs of the city that are part of this like club or membership or whatever. And so she's working all the time and she starts making a ton of money, but she ends up falling for one of her clients, and he is like in his 50s and she's in her early 20s, and there's a lot in this book that is really good that I can't talk about, but you should definitely read this one. It is, like I said, such a good book. It's definitely like got a big age gap in this one, and definitely that like she's not supposed to fall for a client sort of trope, I guess. I don't know if that's like a real trope, but like definitely got like that forbidden aspect to it, which is always interesting as well. Next is Voyeur by Fiona Cole. I feel like this one is pretty well known. It follows a girl very similar to the last one who gets a job in a sex club where she's sort of performing all these things like behind a glass that's like one way, so the person can see her but she can't see them. And there's this guy that keeps coming to see her. She obviously doesn't know it's the same guy over and over again, but he keeps coming to see her and he's kind of like really enamored with her, and he ends up being her college professor, and she walks into class on the first day and he sort of flips out like, oh my god, I can't believe that she's like a student in my class. And they sort of grow closer together because she's sort of working in his department too, so she's like in his office like filing his papers and things. So they spend a ton of time together, and he is not telling her who he is, but he's obviously like decently older than her. He's a professor in the college and she is 19, so there's definitely an age gap with this one as well. Lastly is Love Unexpected by QB Tyler. This one is also like stepfather, stepdaughter, so like keep that in mind if that's not something you think you're gonna like. I had to sort of block that out of my brain when I read this one. But this one follows a girl who has just turned 18 and a guy who I believe is in his early 40s, and they obviously get together. The mother dies at the beginning of the book, and it's sort of them dealing with the aftermath of that, because now it's just her and this stepfather living in her house, and there's no longer sort of anything binding them together really as family because the mother has died, and so it's just them sort of going from there. Definite age gap, definite like taboo, forbidden things going on in this one. And I love QB Tyler's books. I think they're all really, really good. I've yet to read one of her books and be disappointed, so I always love recommending those. And so those are all of the age gap books I have for you today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below. I do new book videos every single week, and I'll see you next time.